The next speaker, I would like to ask to the stage next speaker, Nadezhda Savova-Grigorova from Princeton University, and she is a cultural anthropologist, and she is the founder of the International Bread House Network. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I think it's good to start with a video because, as you know, images are powerful. And I think if you don't see it in action, you will really hardly understand why I'm talking about bread as a therapy. And an actually very powerful, effective kind of art therapy. And I explicitly mention art because you will see the connection between bread making and art making. All of you talked about different aspects of bread, but nobody really talked about how nice it is to sculpt. It's like a sculpture material, right? It's like clay. And actually that's one of its main powers, and I think that's one of the reasons why it is so important in cultural terms. In all the countries of the world, actually, I've been to 77 in many continents, 5 continents. It is important precisely because you can shape it. It's really beautiful to shape. So we'll start with the video. I just want to tell you what the video is about. It's an award that we just received from the United Nations for this product that you see here. It's a game. I'll finish just with 2 brief words about the game. But because we will also talk about how to use bread as a social enterprise, as a tool for social business, I think I hope it will be useful for you. It will give you some ideas. So this is just the short video the United Nations did for presenting the project and the product. Yeah, is it playing? We just have to enlarge the... It's only one minute. Yeah. So... so difficult to love people. You just have to give them a condition, and bread making and bread breaking is a perfect condition, really. The Bread Houses Network connects community centers that focus on community building and peace building through bread making. Bread that doesn't scare people. When you tell them come and make bread, they come. They don't ask questions, they don't say, oh, I don't know how to do it, or I'm afraid. I live in the neighborhood and I came here to buy bread. I like the smell of this healthy bread. And after that I learned that there is a social project. Our kids are playing a theater of dreams. So they are trying to sculpturing this picture with their bread. Bread making can really break social boundaries. Sometimes you would see people from very different backgrounds, rich and poor, and with disabilities, from different ethnic groups, different religions, cultures. It's inspiring to everybody because actually they otherwise never have a chance to meet each other. Well, yeah, you have to actually look, right? While we switch to the presentation, yeah, much better, right? Yeah. I'll wait till I can stay on this side. So, it's this one, yeah. Yep. Perfect. Yeah. There we go. Let's go to the questions. Yep. Well, I think it made it clear in many ways from the video. But of course, now I will explain you how we use bread as a therapy and why I even started doing this, because I'm not a baker. I never knew how to make bread, and even now I'm not good at making bread, to be honest. My husband is much better. He helped me create, we together created our social business bakery, but I'll finish with that. So why I started working with bread is precisely because it's really easy to make. It's the one thing that I'm sure almost everybody loves. Not almost, everybody loves hot bread. And even the people who have gluten allergies, they love it. Unfortunately, they cannot eat it unless it's gluten-free. But it really is something amazing that unites people. And I'll tell you, we'll reach to a point of a story to show you how even the aroma of hot bread can be therapeutic. Just the smell of it is really something very, very unique. Yeah, the question is bread. But I just wanted to make sure I listed the main powers of bread because, as I told you, it's a huge international symbol, and we all talked about it, but it's a huge art form. I really believe it's an art, and I'm sure all of you who did participate in the workshop saw it. You could create beautiful images out of it. And that's why when I started the organization, it was not really an organization. It was just a big network of volunteers and me doing my doctorate. And during the doctorate, I did a lot of workshops here and there. I lived in the United States, so it was in actually many other countries than Bulgaria. It was not Bulgaria. And then we have other countries on the Danube that participate in this type of events. We call them high-touch events because I think there's too many cell phones, too many online connections, but we really need high-touch experiences, not touch phones, the real high-touch experiences. And that's what we create. That's why so many different people come, as you saw in the video, different ages, different education, different cultures. Somehow it turns that bread making is a universal language. And as an anthropologist, clearly, whenever I traveled, I always saw the connections. That's what anthropologists always see. They don't see the differences, but they see the connections and the meaning behind. And bread always connects. Now, the organization is named after the city of Bethlehem because Bethlehem means a bread house. And that's what inspired me. That's what drove me, because when I was in Bethlehem and I saw that it's such a sad place, because after Berlin, it is the only city in the world that is now connected by a wall. And some of you who are from Berlin know what a tragedy that is. People in Bethlehem live it. And how could a place whose name means peace, because you can directly translate bread as peace, be so sad? And that's what I asked myself, and I said, well, maybe we could use bread making somehow. And that's, I'm sure, what inspired Carmen to start this project. You know, bread can really unite very easily. It's not like you invite people, come and make theater, come and make a poem, come and create a song. People will not come because they will say, I'm not good at it. But they could come to make bread. Then you could engage in much more. And now I'll show you how it really became a series of methods that we classify as art therapy. I just wanted to share with you the strange groups that have come together, just because it's obvious how distant they are and why would they come together. Like in Harlem, we had the gang members and the policemen making bread together and making songs that we called Harlem Bake. Not like the Harlem Shake. Do you remember that funny video that became so famous? That's why we called Harlem Bake our events. And they were extremely popular. And I'm showing you the slide because I think in all of our countries, everywhere in the world, there is a lot of problem with youth violence, with youth drugs. And we should work with the young people, mainly with the young people. As Ursula said, that's the future. And my baby, which is 4 months old, clearly that's the people we should work with mainly. And unfortunately, many of them go into gangs. And I think bread making is something that's completely illogical. We don't think of it as something that teenagers would do. But believe me, if you give them a chance, they engage so enthusiastically. Precisely because it's not something that they do generally. They don't even think of themselves as ever touching dough. And if they come, then it becomes a huge event for them, a huge experience. Like these gangsters that you see in the video. So they're, I'm not sure you can see them. Of course, they're all black, so that's why you cannot see well. This guy there, he was amazing. He did the best song, and he was one of the leader of one of the gangs. But I just wanted to tell you this story about the prisoners precisely because I hope it will inspire you to try bread making with many different people that you would otherwise not try with. I did it with a group of former prisoners in London, and one of the boys, the one to the left from Uganda, when we were finishing, starting to share the bread, he started crying because he said, I cannot believe that the smell of bread, now, when we made it with our hands and I smelled it, it opened the memory. I remember when I was very little child, that my grandmother used to make it for me. And he had escaped Uganda from the war there with his parents. And afterwards, he immediately, when he grew up, went into gangs because he was very poor immigrants, refugees. And that was his whole life, only violence and gangs. And he said, this is the only good memory I have from childhood, but I had even forgotten it. Only the smell of bread unlocked it, it opened it. And he was crying. He said he really wanted to actually change his life. That was the one thing that made him want to change his life, and he wanted to create an orphanage in Uganda. He decided that he wanted to start fundraising in London to be able to go back to create an orphanage for all the children that are orphans after the war. So I'm using the story because it's always has been amazing in my experiences with people that you never know how it will touch them. You never know. But it does. With everybody, it works in many different ways. Now, the way we do it, of course, is a little more than just bread making. We call it theater of crumbs, and you saw it in the video, a little bit of it. There's drawing in the flour, there's storytelling, then there's making of puppets, like bread puppets. We bake them, we create another story, a whole theater, we play it out. So there's a lot of art in it, and that's why psychologists we've worked with in many different countries, now more than 18 countries that we have people trained, use it as an art therapy method. And we have another one with music, and all of them have been described well in this game that I showed you. It's like a game, but it's also a very good handbook, a manual that anybody can use in their work. Now, because we spoke so much about the political changes we want to see, that's why I wanted to put this slide, because for me also, this project is a political project. It's a political project because precisely I think it's one of the most powerful languages to talk about peace and to fight against the military complex around the world, of course, usually led by the United States. We protested at Rio Plus 20, the big meeting of the presidents of the world in Rio de Janeiro. In one of the favelas, we covered a whole tank with bread, as you can see in the photo, and we wrote a petition to ask for just 0.1% from the military budget to be taken and put into food. And that's enough to actually feed all the starving people in the world, just a 0.1 of all the billions that are put into weapons. And of course, they still haven't done it, but we have to protest. If we just keep our mouths shut, nothing will change anyway. So we have to do something. Maybe one day things will change. Now, I'll give you just a few examples because I think these are the concrete projects that we could later do in our cooperation. This is not our last meeting. We're just starting now, right? We will cooperate much more. And I think this mobile bread house can be something that we could create even in all of our countries. Now it's in the United States. I still haven't built one in Bulgaria, but I will once the baby gets a little older. It's very easily done on a trailer. You just get an old trailer. You get shipping pallets, those that are used for transport of food or anything. And you construct this easy shape. Inside there's an oven made of 2 oil barrels. It's all recycled, obviously. Oil barrels is a technique to make an oven out of them. And it's easy, doesn't break, there's no bricks. And 2 benches, so anybody can engage in these community baking events with the methods I told you about in any place. And especially in the United States, we used it to go to the different ghettos that nobody goes to. And of course, there's usually no bakery. People only eat McDonald's, and it's not even an exaggeration, it's the truth. That's what people eat in the poor areas of the United States. The tragedy there, I think, is much bigger than anywhere in Europe. And of course, many people don't know this about the United States. Yeah, you see it when you go there. So maybe we can think about this. It's very easy to make. You can really create one. And now I want to show you, everything started in this one little city in Bulgaria, in my old house. But I want to show you how out of this it traveled to different countries. It was all a broken place. We rebuilt it with volunteers. Now that's the idealistic, the full vision of what a bread house should be. If you know any places in your countries that it's just an old house and you don't know how to use it, you can tell the people, hey, why don't you build an oven inside, just a wood-fired oven like the one you see in the corner, and get people together to make bread regularly. And of course, if you want to use the theater of crumbs, I'll teach you, or I'll give you the game as a handbook, and you can start doing this. We did it every week. We've been doing it for the past 7 years, not only in Gabrovo, in 8 cities in Bulgaria, there are now such bread houses, physical spaces, bread houses. Municipalities gave us, for free, old houses that they didn't use, and then local volunteers, different people, painted the walls, cleaned the houses, and we created this network. And there's in other countries as well, but the other countries don't have their own physical spaces. They're people that I've trained and that continue organizing this type of community events. This is just a short list of the countries, just to give you some photos. Actually, the countries are on 5 continents. In just one more slide, I'll show you the list of the countries. And I hope more Danube countries would join. I didn't count how many Danube countries we have, I think 4, but I hope in the network we'll all connect and all the Danube countries would join somehow in this regular community baking events, even after the project. That's what Carmen and the whole project inspired you to do, I hope, and me too. I'm here to continue cooperating with you if you want to continue having this. The bread therapy, as I already mentioned, actually I was pushed to try it as a therapy by this man, Patch Adams, whom you've probably seen in the movie. There's the clown doctor who put a clown nose and figured out that humor can heal people much better than pills and drugs. And this man, amazing man, I met him in a global conference, the World Health Organization. Somebody creative in this organization said, let's try to use arts in hospitals. And I was there to show other art forms, but he told me, try the bread as therapy. That's going to be probably the best therapy, not just the drawing or the music. And it worked. It really worked. So I'm thankful to him that he gave me the push. He said, I was never a clone, but I tried. I said, I'm not a baker, but I'll try. It really worked. So keep trying in your work. I hope you will keep trying. Just to experiment with new things. You don't have to be an expert in what you do. You become an expert as you do it. Now I wanted to share with you how I used these methods in Austria because it's a Danube country. In Austria, we did a training for different career counseling organizations, and the Austrians, probably the Germans, too, have a big national network of such organizations. I'm not sure in your other countries. We don't really have one in Bulgaria. And these are all organizations that counsel immigrants, refugees, and I guess also just students in schools, how to progress in life, how to develop their career, what steps to take, just a sort of overall career counseling. We developed a method, again with bread making in it, and with different roles that the people engage in while they're making bread, and they create their own path for life. They create even logos of their future dreamed organization. It's a long method, but it works really well, precisely because it takes you out of your regular condition. You don't just sit down and talk and write. You actually do things, you engage, you get out of your standard mindset. I hope more organizations would do it this way, so if any one of you likes career counseling, I think it's really something we should work on with young people, all kinds of young people, especially now with all the refugees who are all over Europe. It's very useful because they need to find out what to do, how to continue. These are the countries I mentioned to you. This is actually, they're 18, they're on 5 continents, and it's actually much more than 30,000 people have been joining over the 7 years I told you about. Because of course we cannot keep count in all the countries. They do their own things. I can only keep count in Bulgaria, more or less. This is the countries. You don't have to go through the list. You can see it on our website. If you're interested to find someone, just look on the website. I'll give it to you at the end of it. But this is what I wanted to talk to you more about, because I really hope we could create this bread cultural route in Europe. I think we can cooperate with Slow Food. I'll talk more with Ursula. I'm sure Carmen and all of you would have ideas with more contacts that we can connect. These are the contacts I have, but not even just a few of them are actually on the Danube. But if all of you know, if any of you knows somebody who's really interested in bread making, it could be just a person. It doesn't even have to be an institution. Or it could be a community center or even a church or a museum, of course, if it's a museum of bread, if we have a few museums listed here. It could be anything, actually. The only vision that I have for this route is to put, because there's a wine route in Europe, of course. There's other, if you open the website of the cultural routes, there's about 20. There's Roman, etc. But of course, there's no bread yet. And I hope we could use it not just as a culinary tradition, we could really use it for social change. As I showed you, it could be so well used for social change. It's perfect. That's why it's in the brackets. We applied to UNESCO a month ago, so we're waiting for their reply, hopefully for supporting this project. I hope it would work. It's a UNESCO type thing. But if not, we'll continue trying to do it without any money. Let's just network and connect, organize activities, create a website, and I hope it would really inspire people to travel with the mission. I've just listed here some of my ideas, what we could do with this network, with this cultural route. We could really have a traveling bread stamps exhibition, because I have a big collection of bread stamps from many countries. Carmen was trying to collect stories and bread stamps, so let's keep discovering more and more connections, and then we can come up in the future with more ideas. It could be future projects of, along this cultural route. I'll just finish with showing you our social business. Did you know that company means sharing bread? Probably. Cum panis, from Latin, to share bread. And I'm sure most of the companies in the corporate world don't know it. Actually, I know it for practice because we offer team building. That's one of our services that are paid. So that's our business model. The bakery, we have two of them in Sofia, and here is the one in Gabrovo. Now, as you can see, the bakery has two sides, the production area and then the social area. And the business model is that the selling of the bread finances us to have all kinds of free events every week, a few, 2, 3, even more each week, for people with all kinds of problems. Mainly it's people with disabilities, but we also have orphans, elderly people, and people with different trauma. We had groups with depression, schizophrenia, multiple sclerosis, you name it, different groups of people who just are somehow isolated. Either they contact us or we find them, and we try to organize events to mix them with others in a very organic way, without calling it therapy, without specifically talking about even the problem the people have. And it works really well. And also the people we employ have for example, we have orphans who work for us, and we've worked for years with them. Multiple sclerosis, two people with multiple sclerosis, and we want to hire more people who need help. So let's hope it will open more bakeries. And I'll talk much more about the social business model and what you could do with social business ideas in the workshop. Then you will tell me what ideas you have, and I hope I'll help you how you can create products and services, because that's crucial to offer services. That's some of the paid services we offer at the bakeries. We offer the bread building, team building. We are going to now start a program with blind people, bread making in full darkness, 100% darkness, with talking about life issues through metaphors in the dark, because it's very easy to open in the dark. Nobody sees you. You can say anything you want. It's really wonderful. And the social enterprise school, we will have trainings in the fall. If anybody wants to come to Bulgaria and have a full training in social entrepreneurship, just keep thinking about what you want to do, and I'll try to help you when we have the workshop. So I'm just finishing my presentation. As I started, everything I told you, we tried to summarize it in this game, because of course, especially now with the baby, I cannot travel everywhere and it's too expensive. Nobody should, why traveling? All these methods can be very easily used in this game. It includes 3 pieces. One is the Theater of Crumbs, the other is a kitchen music method and traveling with a mission around the world. So it's a game about cultural anthropology with many different stories from countries, and people try to envision their own project. And when they create their songs, they put it up on our internationally interactive website. And the third game is about social business. It's like a Monopoly, but the kids and the adults play to create a social business, and they play with seeds that symbolize the money and the talents. So, and we play on a board. It really, part of it is a board game, part of it is a high-touch experience. I just think it's useful, and I hope whatever you do, you can try to summarize it and make it more available. It always is useful now when we are so connected. And these are just two platforms you can join. Whatever you want to, if you know any bakeries that are social or any ovens, community ovens, I'm collecting more and more from different continents, from Australia, from Canada, United States, and I know in Germany there are quite a few. I just had one from Dresden write to me, community oven that can be well used. So I gave you many ideas or many things that we do and want to create, develop more and more. The main message clearly is let's keep cooperating more along the Danube. I really hope at least this cultural route could become a reality as a long-term thing that would continue connecting us all. Congratulations to Carmen for this wonderful project. I really hope more and more and more people from the Danube countries would join in the years. I'm sure they will. So thank you for your attention. I hope it was useful, and you can ask me many more questions afterwards. So.
So thank you very much, Nadezhda, for the introduction of this very nice project and very nice initiative. I think this is an example how it can go, how it should go, locally and from local to global interactions.